Hello everyone and welcome to what could be the longest race of the season. It's the Singapore Grand Prix. My name is Shane and joining me back in the commentary box once again is Dan.
Yeah, thank you once again, Shane. And as you just alluded to there, this track is an absolute killer for the drivers. 31 laps around one of the toughest tracks on the calendar means that mistakes are surely going to creep in for many drivers. A driver who didn't make any mistakes last time out in Monza was Alex, who was able to take a crucial 25 points. Can he build on that momentum here in Singapore qualifying?
Welcome to the qualifying comparison for the Singapore Grand Prix. Jumping on board with the Ferrari of Jim Alesi on the left and the Haas of RBOS on the right. One of the toughest qualifyings that the drivers will face all season under the floodlights around the Marina Bay street circuit. But coming into turn 1, braking just after the 100-metre ball down to third gear, clipping the curb on the apex nicely before setting himself up for turn 3 and that all-important exit through the kink at turn 4. Both drivers short shifting quite a lot before coming into turn 5. Third gear again, clipping the curb on the apex nicely. DRS as early as possible through this flat-out kink. DRS still open, no need to close it, and they are pretty much dead equal coming out of Sector 1. Alesi potentially marginally ahead, but coming into this 90-degree right-hander. Second gear again for both drivers before short shifting. Once again, Alesi has a little bit of traffic, but opts for first gear for the hairpin, whereas RBOS keeps in second and maintains a little bit more apex speed. But the Ferrari is still ahead. Both drivers getting very close to the wall on the outside, and RBOS actually brushing the wall, which will cost him a little bit of time, but coming through this very, very tight sequence of corners. Fourth gear down to second, clipping the apex nicely from both of them. Again, RBOS very, very close to the wall. Coming into the hairpin, it's an extremely difficult braking zone. Alesi has not nailed it quite. He's locked up and missed the apex slightly. That will have cost him a few tenths, but he is still marginally ahead of the Haas driver, braking just after 100-metre board into the hairpin. And there you can see Alesi is about half a car length ahead of RBOS in the Haas. But coming into the final sector, plenty of chicanes to finish off the lap. Lots of low-speed corners. Pretty difficult, even though there isn't a huge amount of speed involved. But Alesi short shifting slightly more than the Haas alongside him, but into this famous section under the bridge, short shifting once again on the exit before coming into the final chicane. A very, very tricky traction zone. Extremely easy to drop it on the exit, but both drivers negotiating it very well before coming into this tricky double apex left-hander of the final corner. DRS as early as possible, and Alesi comes up the line to take 5th place with a 40.4 and RBOS in P8 with a 40.8.
So it was big shot to take his first pole position of the season under the lights of Singapore, with M4 just behind in P2. Nova Tank was a very solid P3 and his championship rival will line up on the second row with him. Alesi was 5th and the top 5 were all covered by less than 2 tenths. Clarkey was 6th with Keen in 7th. RBOS was 8th making up the 4th row, with Sean and Ali rounding out the top 10. Demon F1 will start 11th. Although the tyre wear glitch has been fixed for this race, starting outside the top 10 could still give you a strategical advantage. Big C was 12th, NBA Reuben 13th and Beamy rounding out the 7th row, with all the top 14 covered by 1.1 seconds. With Dan and Nummer being on the 8th row and Jake and Theo were the last people to set a time on the ultra soft tyre. Jonas and X-Men managed choosing to set a time on the super soft, with Super Scrub deciding not to set a time in qualifying. And now it's time for the race.
It's race time at the Marina Bay for round 15 of the season. The championship protagonists are sat on the second row, both eager to win tonight. But Dan, who do you see coming out on top?
Well, Nervo does seem to have the pace. Obviously, we've seen in qualifying that he does have it because he qualified ahead of Alex. But the top 2 also look very good, and I think they'll be both very keen to claim a race victory. M1 obviously in that battle for P3 in the standings. But yeah, you can't really write off anyone in the top sort of 6. We all, in qualifying, we showed they all had very good pace. So I wouldn't be surprised if any of them won this race.
Yeah, the top 6 cars covered by just 2 tenths of a second in qualifying. So it was a very, very close qualifying indeed. And I don't think we've had such a close qualifying at this stage in the season. Nova Tank was slightly slow getting away off the grid there. So I don't know if that was a conscious thing that he did, or whether that was anything to do with his lights going out later than anyone else's. Hopefully that doesn't affect the start, the actual grid start. On board with Kian at the moment in 7th, and at this stage in the season, with only about 7 races to go, including this one, Kian's got to be thinking about starting to bat Nova up for the championship. Obviously, that's harder for Alex as his teammate Mayhem Madness has rather been lacking in pace and the general ability so far this season. But he's in 4th at the moment with a great shot of the back of his main rival, and coming through the what used to be the old stadium section, not stadium section, the Singapore Sling, that's what it was called. And with Aresi now on board with Alex, what do we expect the strategy to be tonight, like Dan?
Well, the one stop is definitely possible for those who have started outside the top 10, so that's why that they do still have an advantage, even with the tyre wear glitch removed. For those starting on the ultra soft, they'll be definitely looking for a 2-stop. I don't really know what sort of tyres are going on. Depending on their tyre wear, we've known Alex throughout the course of the season to be quite good on his tyres, so whether he can do maybe 2 super soft stints, I don't really know. But yeah, he's obviously got a huge challenge ahead of him. He's still behind Nerotang in the championship, but a long way behind still. He needs to get the full 25 points tonight and hope something goes wrong for the Renault driver. And around Singapore, it really could.
Yeah, there's, as you can see, the track surrounded by walls, and those walls are very inviting to all of these 21 drivers that we've got here tonight. As on board with Jonas, the third to last man coming around on the grid. Sorry, no, we've got 20 drivers. My apologies, just looking on the map, we've got 20 drivers as Mayhem Madness has disconnected on the left-hand side.
Yeah, we have 20. We have 21.
Well, I don't think he's joined back in time, but regardless, we're now going to get. Oh, Ali's left the session instead, so that's now down to 19 as we wait the 5 red lights. Lights out, away we go for the Singapore Grand Prix. Big Shots looks like he's got away from pole perfectly well. Emthorn's already having a look up the inside, but has to back out of it. And Nervo trying to go around the outside, but they've all slotted in position for now. So the top 4 look like they're pretty, the top 5 actually look like they've got away from their grid slots, as I think that's Aresi now trying to challenge Alex through turn 5, and now on the exit of turn 5, down Raffles Boulevard they go, through the kink of turn 6. Nervotank looking very close to the back of the Haas of Emthorn, having a look up the inside of turn 7, but doesn't make it work just yet. Emthorn's gone well out of shape through the exit there and has lost that position to Nervo, and so that's Emthorn now down to P3, and Nervo up to 2nd, and he is going to go and hunting after that Ferrari for the win.
Yeah, a good start for the Renault driver. Already gained a place, and Alex has stayed in P4. But yeah, so not a great start for Alex, who really wanted to make probably a good start and try and climb up the positions as we now head through this tight and twisty section onto another straight as they head in towards the final sector. And the top 2 already seem to be starting to break away from M4 in behind, obviously slightly rattled probably by his mistake, and it's so easy to make mistakes around this track. You just want to try and avoid them as we now come through this tight section. Nervotank, you can just see the different line he was taking there to Big Shot, able to take so much more apex, and this is allowing to gain a lot of time as we head under the tunnel. And I just wonder how the drivers are going to approach overtaking in this race. There's one major DRS zone, but apart from that, you've really got to stick behind the drivers. So it's important to get good traction coming out of that corner to make sure that your overtaking moves are possible, because otherwise you're just going to end up stuck behind the drivers. There's so many laps around here.
Yes, and Nervo is pretty much getting himself in a good position to try and overtake. DRS obviously not enabled just yet, as we're still on lap 2. But this on the exit of this corner, if he gets a good enough run, he'll have the slipstream. And Big Shot is trying to break that down this straight. And this is the overtaking spot that Dan has just been talking about. Down into turn 7. And Nervo nowhere near the back of Big Shot into that braking zone to try and make a move. Obviously, there is another good overtaking spot on the opposite side of this track, as it happens down the back straight. From just after the Anderson Bridge, and all the way down to turn 14 into the last sector of the lap. Through turn 10 they go then, and Nervo definitely looks like he's got more mechanical grip than the Ferrari of Big Shot at the moment. So Big Shot not romping away at the start, and Nervo looking very good at the moment in terms of pace.
Yep, he often has very good pace in these sort of racing. If he's able to get into the front and get a gap, then I suspect he will be able to go away and dominate this race like he has done previously this season. But if he gets stuck in traffic, then we've seen he's prone to making mistakes and errors. And this is often where sometimes he gets excessive penalties, which cause him to lose races such as back in Baku. But yeah, Big Shot definitely not creating the gap he wanted, apart from... well, the top three are very close, but Alex just behind, once again, struggling for pace at the start of the race. He's definitely losing time, and this is not what he needs in terms of the championship.
Yeah, and the top 7 then pretty much stayed exactly where they were in terms of where they were on the grid. And I think the only movers in the top 10 were Sean and RBS, who have pretty much just swapped positions. GR Demon's obviously up to 10th because of Ali K disconnecting before, or on the grid we should say. So now it's lap 3, the DRS is enabled. Nervo is right up behind that Ferrari of Big Shot, and he's got the DRS. Has he got the straight line speed to try and go for a move into the apex of turn 7? And yes, he does. He's had a look up the inside, doesn't make a dive on the brakes though, and Big Shot really having to defend at the moment into turn 8, now on board with Super Scrub, the reserve, who finished 2nd last time out in Italy with a fantastic drive. He's now been spun by that Sauber. I think it was NBA Rubin that Sauber was. And yeah, there's Jonas. So that's a very weird spin, and I think that is just down to the contact model, quite sadly, because that realistically should not have happened the way that car spun.
Yeah, Super Scrub had a great start, actually, working his way all the way from last up into P14, I think that was. But sadly, all that work has just been undone for the Sauber driver, and he's back down into pretty much last. I think a couple of drivers did have to pit at the end of lap 1. But back to the lead, and Big Shot, he's looking more comfortable now out in front, starting to build a little bit of a gap to the Renault, but I'm sure that'll disappear within a few corners as we come in towards the final few corners of this lap. Under the tunnel once again as all the drivers file through, and Alex seems to have gained a bit of time on M4 as well, who has dropped off slightly from the top 2. But now as they approach the final corner, they'll fling it in down into 4/4 fifth gear as we go on board with Ian, and he is right behind Clarkey, who has also dropped off the front 5 or so, as he'll get the DRS down the main straight. Won't be able to make a move into turn 1, a slight bit of a lag, but nevertheless he'll go up the inside of turn 1, and that is the Renault driver back up into P6. And I'm sure he'll be wanting to gain time now on Fawn, Alex and Aresi to try and help out his teammate in terms of the championship.
Yep, the DRS again then for the Renault of Novotank. Will he be any near closer to trying to go for a dive? No, he doesn't. So Novo's not got that good straight line speed at the moment in this stage in the race, and that's keeping Big Shot ahead at the moment. M-Thorn has got no pace compared to the leaders, as Alex and Aresi are trying to go side by side behind him, and Aresi's got the inside line for turn 9, and they're going to go side by side. Don't hit the wall on the outside, they don't, and they're still side by side up towards turn 10, and Aresi backs out of it for now, and Alex maintains that 4th place, and that's giving M-Thorn a little bit of a breather.
Yeah, it has. It's just allowed M-Thorn to have a little bit of a gap, and that sometimes helps in races. It's not maybe about your pace, but if you suffering from pressure in behind, it just forces you to maybe go defensive into a couple of corners, and it also just makes you worried about making the smallest of mistakes, because it'll allow the drivers behind to get through. So maybe this gives M4 a slight opportunity to go and catch up to the front 2, but those 2 are looking very close in terms of pace, as Novotank once again all over the back of the Ferrari as they head under the tunnel section once again. There's no way through round here, but it's all just about Novotank keeping close and keeping tight to the rear end of the Ferrari, because then he'll surely be able to make the move down into turn 7.
Yeah, Nova looks like he's got a lot more pace in sector 3, but he's just losing out down the straight, so he might be running... His setup might be a little more tuned to the corners at this track, which there are obviously a lot of them. There's 21 corners at this track, so that's probably why he has gone for that decision setup-wise, but it's not helping him at the moment. He is stuck behind that Ferrari. You can see Big Shot just pulls away down the straights, and even though with Novo's going to have the DRS, I don't think he's going to be close enough for a move down into turn 7. And no, I don't think he is, as Aresi is now trying to go around what is the inside for this corner, and then the outside for turn 7 here. But that's pretty much, he's gone slightly wide though on the exit, but he has got that position. He's now ahead of Alex. Kian up the inside of Alex as well. Obviously it's important for Kian to get past Alex as well, for the sake of Nervo, to try and help Nervo's race, but he can't quite manage it just yet, and Kian has gained an awful lot of time on those two cars in front of him as they've been squabbling, and Nervo very, very back, very, very close to the back of that Ferrari, and is he going to have a good enough run out of the exit of this corner? Big Shot looks like he's really struggling with the back end of that Ferrari at the moment, and once again, Nervo just lacking in straight line speed at the moment.
Yeah, under these ultra softs are starting to feel a little bit second hand. As soon as they reach around about the 40 to 50% mark in terms of tyre wear, it really starts to affect their pace. They start to feel like they've got a lack of grip, and this is where the people starting outside the top 10 who'll be like on the super soft tyre, they'll be a lot faster than these guys at this point, just depending on whether they are in traffic or not. But around the final sequence of corners, and once again Nervous, it's really close as we come in towards the final corner bit. He just seems to lose out in a straight line, and this is allowing the Ferrari Big Shot to stay ahead as Alex is coming into the pit lane for what appears to be a very early pit stop.
Yeah, that is a very early stop, and he's going on to a set of super softs as well, so that looks like a 2-stop for him, which is very surprising. You don't usually see Alex being the first man to pit. It's usually he's the last one to pit, yeah, that's very surprising, as we've now got a very good view of Nervo's rear diffuse up, which is kind of pointless in this situation considering how close he is to the back of Big Shot, as we can see now with a much better camera shot through that apex of turn 7. He is very, very close, and it's kind of surprising that he hasn't gone for a dive up the inside yet, considering what he has done in throughout the season in places like Austria. But now going up towards the old Singapore sling, which used to be a very bumpy triple apex chicane, and sadly that has been removed, and that chicane now has been revamped as well, which is kind of disappointing, because for me personally it doesn't promote any overtaking, and just makes them go slower through the corners. So down into turn 14 then. Nervo still not quite close to try and make a move up the inside just yet, but it's going to be interesting to see which of these guys... Oh, there's a safety car, and I was just about to say whether these guys will come in at the end of this lap to try and respond to Alex, and surely with this safety car all of these guys will now pit.
Yeah, I think they'll be definitely forced into making a pit stop as someone has retired. Presumably that is what has caused the safety car. Thank you. And so things are going very slow here, Nervo Tank. I wonder what he's trying to do. No idea, but he'll be definitely coming into the pits at the end of the stop, and he's lost any opportunity to jump Big Shot in the pit lane. So he's gone very slowly. Clearly, maybe worried about the delta. Obviously, if you remember back from Monaco, he actually got a penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car at that time, but he'll still have a delta at this point. But Big Shot will be able to get a pit stop. But all the Ultrasoft guys are coming in, and now it appears that the Williams of Big C is about to inherit the lead of this race.
Yep, and the two Force Indias following him as well. So what tyres are those? I think they're on super softs, a lot of these guys, aren't they? So they obviously can go longer in this race than these guys. Big Shot's gone onto a set of softs. So is he going to try and take those to the end, do we think?
I think that would be very ambitious. Maybe he's going to try and go on another set of ultra softs towards the end of the race. No Tank's gone on what I would call the more conventional strategy on another set of super softs. So I wonder who else has done that. I can't really see from M4's perspective there. We can't really see from this camera angle. But I suspect a lot of them will have gone onto the Red Bull super soft tyre, because from here it's surely an easy, just one more pit stop going on to another set of super softs.
Yeah, Sean right behind as well, so he's gained quite a lot in this pit stop phase, or as he's lost out, he's going to set other softs as well. So both of the Ferraris going the same way strategy-wise, and Kian also onto a set of the super softs. I wonder where Alex has appeared out in all of this, because obviously he would have lost an awful lot having done the pit stop with the previous, when the safety car wasn't deployed, because you'd lose much more if you're out on the track and don't pit. So because you're travelling down the pit lane at a slower speed while everyone else is blitzing it down the pit straight without the safety car. So yep, Alex would have lost out an awful lot. It would be interesting to see where he is in the sequence, but he's not anywhere near the top 10 as far as I can see from that camera angle. And now this is a replay then on board with lap 1 with M Thorn going down into turn 7. Just outbrakes himself and tries to avoid the back of Big Shot, and then runs wide and loses that position to Nervo.
Yeah, just a poor mistake from M4. And here on board with Alex on lap 4. So this is where he picks up some front wing damage. So going into the back of Thorn, and then on the end of lap 5, chooses to make a pit stop and actually has to change his front wing. So this is probably where he loses the most time. And then obviously I had the safety car delta just to compound his misery. So then when he comes round the final corner, I mean, what position is he going to end up in? He must be very far down. It's going to be P14 for Alex. He has lost a lot of time. Nervo is in P7 at the moment. So Alex has lost a whole heap of time and is behind all the people that started on the ultra soft tyre.
Yeah, that's worked out quite badly for him, it's safe to say. So, otherwise, let's look at the bright side. Big C, Dan, and Demon are currently the top 3 in the race under this safety car period. Numbers in 4th and Super Scrub in 5th. Those guys, the top 5, haven't pitted yet, and a Big Shot is the first of those to have pitted in 6th place. And this is going to be very interesting in terms of strategy, what goes on now. Because with the 2 Ferraris on the softs, and I think everyone else who did pit on the super softs, this is going to be compounded as well with the top 5 having not pitted on their worn super softs. This is going to be very interesting on the restart.
Yeah, I'm very excited for the upcoming laps. I mean, usually Singapore doesn't promote a lot of overtaking, but with the situation that we've got here at hand, the top 5 all on tyres, well, the super softs won't be that worn. I suspect they'll be around about 20%, but they'll definitely have a lot less grip than the front guys, and probably a lot less pace as we've seen in qualifying. So, yeah, that's going to be very interesting. Super Scrub, I believe, is on ultra soft, so I think he's made a poor decision not pitting. But the top 4 all feeling like the track position is key around Singapore, and it is. It's very equivalent to Monaco, but there is a slight more chances to overtake. But yeah, the top 4 will definitely be struggling. And then we've got Big Shot on soft, so he's going to have a lot less grip than Nervo, Ford and Sean at the restart. So it's going to see how that one plays out. And yeah, I think we are set for a frenetic, a hectic next couple of laps once the safety car obviously comes in.
Yeah, but it's not coming in this lap because the safety car lights are still on. So Big C then, the race leader, has had quite a good run recently, obviously with points in Germany a couple of rounds ago, and I strongly don't suspect he will win this race because I don't think he's got the raw pace. I don't think any of the top 5 have got the raw pace to win this race. As soon as Nervo clears Big Shot, when he appears into the picture, there he is. As soon as Nervo clears Big Shot, which I assume he will do, considering he's on a much better compound, then he will be right on these guys. But obviously, I would say I agree with you that all of these guys have got at least one more pit stop. Well, it depends how many more safety cars there are during this race, if indeed there are any. So yeah, this is going to be a great restart when it happens, which I suspect will be at the end of this lap. Now watching Big C, and now down into turn 7. So coming through now this corner, back with Noah Tank on the super soft tyre. So Thorn really, what do we think he's going to do? He's got to really try and interfere with Nervo's race if he wants a shot of winning this race, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he's got to almost play on sort of Nervo's sort of... Nervo's obviously got a very comfortable position in the championship. Alex is way down in P14 at the moment. So if Nervo plays this sensibly, he should be able to outscore the Red Bull driver today. I think Thorn's almost got to prey on that weakness, if it even is a weakness, that, you know, Nervo's got a lot more to lose than Thorn has. Thorn could realistically stick it in a barrier and, well, he'll lose some points in the battle for third. I don't think it'll ruin his week or whatever too much. Whereas Nervo's really just got to play this strategically at this point in the championship. He's got a big lead and needs to just play it sensibly. So I think Thorn definitely has an opportunity to try and put some pressure on the Renault driver in the upcoming laps. Obviously, I wonder how long these guys out front are going to be able to keep this lead, because I think they're going until about lap 18, lap 20, because I think they'll be hoping to go on to a set of ultra softs at the end of the race. So They are really just fighting for what they can at this point in the season, and they'll be just looking to score some good points, as I think the safety car is coming in because Big C is backing up the pack, and I think we're getting ready for a restart.
Yep, the safety car lights are off then, and Big C dictates the pace. He becomes the safety car effectively now down the run into the last corner, and now he gets away. Now he gets away as the limiter is now turned off, which is rather a stupid thing that they have in this game. But regardless, now Dan the Snake in that Force India trying to have a look around the outside of turn 1. Can't quite make any kind of lunge around the outside at the moment. And the two Force Indias rather in an unfamiliar position to where they've been earlier in the season, and but rather been lucky to get points. And I've only had one podium so far this season in the shape of GR Demon back in China. And now Dan the Snake with the slipstream and the run down into turn 7. Not quite close enough for a move, but Nervo up the inside of Super Scrub is already clear Big Shot. And he rather was very off the track at turn 7 there. I'm surprised, I'd be surprised if he doesn't give that place back. But now he's up to P4, and he cleared Big Shot in a hurry. Don't know where that happened just yet. But now he is right behind the Force Indias of Demon. Demon is the first one that he's got to clear at the moment. But yeah, that's been a great restart for the Renault.
Yeah, no, they've got a great run coming out of the final corner. Was able to clear Big Shot into the first corner as he's trying to find a way past the Force India of GR Demon. Obviously, a lot more pace as we now head into the final sector of this lap. He's having a look up the inside. He's gone for it. Ooh. And I think he's... Oh, God, he's not left a lot of space for the Force India there, but he's got the move done up into P3. And, well, he's gained a lot of time. Big Shot now looking up the inside of the Force India. It's, oh, my God, it's so hectic. Cars side by side everywhere. The Force India has lost a heap of positions. I think Big Shot up into 5th, Super Scrub's 4th, and Nervo has benefited the most so far out of this safety car restart up into P3. But I think the top two have been able to maintain position for the time being, and have got a slight gap considering all the battle that was happening behind them. Sorry, as Dan is still close enough to Big C, but won't be able to make a move into turn 1. We start the 11th lap of this race, and I think there is a lot more action to come.
Yeah, Nervo already up 4 places then in 1 lap on the restart, so that's great from his point of view, and he can set about passing those 2 cars in front of him and waltzing off into the distance, as Thorn, we can see on the graphic on the left hand side, has got past GR Demon, as well as there's a battle going on in the background between Big Shot and Super Scrub. Hopefully we'll pick that up in a minute to see which one is ahead going into these corners. I think that's Big Shot ahead of the Manor then on those soft tyres. So yeah, there's a lot to happen in this race still with the strategies that the 2 Ferraris have gone for as they now head their way down into turn 10 through that apex into turn 11. Now Nervo getting right up behind that gearbox that Force India. Will he go for a move into this corner? No, he doesn't. He's going to set himself a slightly wider line to give himself good traction on the exit, but you have to say Dan got very good traction on the exit of that corner himself, and now Nervo not quite close enough into the braking zone on this lap to try and go up the inside of a Force India.
Yeah, so Nervo has managed to break away slightly from the pack behind, but Big C's still leading this race, but there's Big Shot just behind on his soft compound tyres. So if Nervo isn't able to use his super soft compound to good use, if he gets stuck behind Dan and Big C for too long, then it could be that Big Shot's strategy of going onto the softs was a good one, because obviously as we get a few more laps into this race, then the soft tyre will definitely start working better as we come round the final corner. The top 4 all in one camera shot, and we don't see that too often this season as we head in towards turn 1. Nervo very close to Dan, but not making a move. He was very aggressive on the safety car restart, but hasn't been, as Dan loses the rear end massively heading through turn 2 and turn 3, and this gives Nervo surely a good opportunity. Can he go round the outside of there? That'd be a very ambitious move if he does. No, he decides to back out of that one, but surely get better traction and be able to do the Force India into turn 7.
Here we go then, side by side through the kink of turn 6, down in towards the braking zone of turn 7. And Dan very optimistic on the brakes, and Nervo once again going wide off the track to complete the overtake. And Big Shot did the same, but sensibly backed out of it into turn 8. And Super Scrub and Demon also pitted during that action as well. So I'm surprised that Demon's come in so early, considering he was on the Super Softs. But He'll switch on to a set of softs then and go to the end presumably. And now it's up to Big Shot to try and find a way past the Force India as soon as possible, as he's got the other reserve of Sean right behind him on his gearbox.
Yeah, there is a huge train now forming up behind Dan, who obviously was overtaken by Nervotank, and I think that's lost him a bit of ground to the top two in that sort of phase. But nevertheless, I think everyone is starting to clear all the drivers that started on, well, chose to stay out, as it appears that Alex has now worked his way up into P10. So I don't know what's happened. Well, obviously he's Super Scrub and Demon Pitted. I don't know what's happened to Number as well, unless he's just lost a whole heap of positions. We now head once again through this final sector in towards the final sequence of corners, and it's Big Shot and Fawn right up behind the Force India of Dan as we go over the start-finish line to start lap 13.
Yep, Thorn up the inside of Big Shot, then down into turn 1. No backs out of it for the moment. And yeah, as Dan just said, it is Thorn behind the Ferrari of Big Shot, and Sean is behind them. So my apologies for getting that wrong. And Nervo now right up behind Big C. So Big C then is going to have to defend this position if he wants to try and win this race. And Nervo doesn't really give him any option but to go defensive. Big C hasn't got that good straight line speed, and has to tuck in behind the Renault for now. So that's Nervo into the lead, which is where he's usually at his best, as Dan is being swamped here left, right and centre. Big Shot's got past him. Thorn's trying to go around the outside now through turn 9, and they're still going side by side even on the exit. Sean's right up behind him. Kieran's closing up as well. And what's going to happen here? Thorn trying to go around the outside of turn 10. He's got the inside for 11. And that's a great move by Thorn. Sean's also trying to get in on the action as well, trying to go around the outside of the Force India now at the hairpin of turn 13. And now around on the outside, Sean with a better grip on those better tyres in terms of tyre life is now going to have the inside for this corner, and he's got much more braking grip. And Dan the Snake then being really just mugged off there and dropping like a stone in those probably about a sector of the lap there.
Yeah, he's really started to struggle on those super soft tyres, but he just needs to make sure he makes it to around about lap 20, and then he'll be able to put on the ultra soft tyres. He's got the Renault of Kian all over the back of him now, and Aresi and RUS just follow closely in behind. I wonder where Alex is on all this. I don't think he'll be too far behind. There he is in that camera shot there. So obviously Nervo is up in front and looking very good for the race win, as Dan decides to go defensive on Kian, or actually just seems to let him through there, seemingly not wanting to battle too much. He's already lost a lot of time compared to Big C, who's still up in P2. As I think we're now going to go back to Big Shot in P3. But yeah, Dan really struggling to maintain track position. Obviously, the tyre difference is so great between these drivers that it's just allowing them to have so much more grip going into the corners. As we head once again into turn 7, Dan had DRS of Key in that lap, so was able to maintain position. As we've got M4 trying to go round the outside of Big Shot here. I think they've been both held up by Big C, and he's done it round the outside. It's a beautiful move from the Haas driver. He's pulled off 2 great moves in 2 laps. Take a bow as we now head into where the Singapore Sling used to be. Big C is holding up these drivers so much as we once again file through this corner. Nervo has got a huge gap out in front already, as Fawn is trying to find a way round the outside of Big C there. He won't be able to do that, but he seems to get a good putback. Hopefully gets better traction on the run down in towards the start of this 3rd sector. He will have the inside line. Surely he'll get this move done. Oh my god, they make contact. Ooh. And Ford has managed to get up into P2, and I think I now need to take a breath, because I've got no idea what is happening at this point in the Grand Prix.
Thorn pulling off some cracking overtakes is what's been going on, as Big Shot having a look up the inside into these corners, which is not realistically going to happen for him. But yeah, Thorn pulling off some cracking overtakes then around the outside of Big Shot, and I can't even remember who the other guy went around the outside of. That's how much has been going on in this race. But Big C then maintaining third for now, but he's going to have he's got a right old queue up behind him. Big Shot really going defensive against Sean more than having a look up the inside of the Williams. Big C doing a fantastic job in holding these guys up at the moment. And now as they make their way up in towards turn 5, Big Shot really has to get past this Williams very quickly, as he loses the back end quite a lot on the exit of that corner. Now, Big Shot with the DRS and the slipstream is going to have the inside for turn 7 and makes the move very easily into the corner. Big C with a great run out of it, actually, and has to brake early. Sean actually hits the back of the Williams, and hopefully he doesn't have any wing damage from that. And that is Big Shot up into third, and Kian is right behind that Mercedes of Sean going into the apex of turn 10.
Yeah, I don't think I can deal with any more overtaking, but Big C is sure it's going to hold up the whole train behind as Dan has dropped even more positions down into P10. But yeah, Alex up into P9 now, but I think they're all going to form up once again behind Big C as we've got a massive train once again as Kian is trying to find a way past Sean, and there's no way past here as Sean is able to defend. But yeah, I think they're all just going to form up in another train. And it's just going to cause more and more action. And I'm absolutely loving this Singapore Grand Prix so far. The safety car has really spiced up this race as Big C is doing actually an incredible job as Dan has left. And that's very unfortunate for him. Even though he's lost a lot of position in the last couple of laps, he's still in a pretty decent position to score some points in that race. So that's very disappointing for the Force India driver as Big C's in 4th. And with someone pitting in behind, that must have been Sean. So he must have been coming into the pits for I don't really know what reason, unless he got some sort of damage. That's a very odd decision by the Mercedes driver there.
Yeah, I think he tapped the back of Big C into turn 8 on that previous lap, so I think that's where he might have got some front wing damage, and that's very unfortunate for him indeed. That puts Kian into 5th then, and Aresi, RBOS, Alex, Clarkey and NBA Rubin, the last of the top 10. At the moment, Nova Tank leads the race. Thorn is 2nd, Big C on that different strategy in 3rd at the moment, and is being very much helped out at the moment by Big C, who is really holding these guys up a huge amount, and they are very far off the leaders now. They're about, I think, I can't quite see how much that is in the top left. It's a little bit fuzzy, but I think they're about at least 5 seconds behind at this stage in the race since that restart, and we're only just at half distance, so we've got a long way to go in this race. Number has retired in the session. I don't know why that is, and yeah, I strongly suspect that Dan didn't rage quit, and there's another safety car. So that's just as Kian got the move done on Big C, and that's good from Big C's point of view. I don't understand why Aresi's also passed him, and yeah, he's let him back through. So Kian using, well, a very timely overtake there for the Renault, and I wonder what Nervo is going to do. He's, I mean, they're probably gonna pit again, aren't they, to try and get that extra one stop out of the way. And yeah, Nova does pit.
Gosh, thank God for the safety car. I need a breath after all this. An incredible few laps here in Singapore, but Nervo is out in front. That is the net result of all this. I wonder if Big Shot's going to carry on. Obviously, he went onto that soft compound tyre. Nervo goes onto the ultra soft. That's an interesting call. Can he get those tyres to the end of the race? Because for me, I don't think he'd be able to.
That's a very interesting call. We have to see what the other guys do as well. Obviously, as we've mentioned previously, the tyre wear glitch has been removed for this race, and will be obviously take no further part for the rest of this race. Kian has stayed out then on his supers, and who is behind him? Is that a Big Shot or is that Aresi?
I would guess Aresi.
Yeah, that's Aresi. That's Big Shot there behind him. So. Nova Tank is in 3rd. Thorn is 2nd. Sorry, 4th. Thorn is 4th. Yep, 2nd and 4th, same thing. Even though it really isn't. So this is a big shake-up in the order once again. So
yeah, I think this has worked out brilliantly for Big Shot. From what I can try and work out here, because Thorn has been forced to go. They've had to go onto a different compound, presumably because they didn't have another set of super softs. So Nervo's gone onto the ultra softs. And unless he's got insane tyre wear, won't be able to get those to the end of the race. Thorn's gone on the very safe strategy of going on softs, whereas Big Shot has gone on to what I think is the ideal compound here in a set of super softs, because he'll easily be able to take those to the end of the race. Will have good pace because obviously he's on quite a quick compound, and yeah, it's really worked out well for him. GR Demon all the way down in P16. how it's all gone wrong for him since the safety car. Dan is in P12, but is unfortunately unable to rejoin, so won't be able to see out the rest of this race. So we've got Keane out in front on a set of super softs, but surely he's going to find it difficult to get to the end on those.
This is a lot to sort out in this. That's when Noma dropped back then. I wonder where he disappeared to. He got caught out by, because on this game, there's a limiter which, as soon as the safety car goes in, it goes. And if you're full throttle, you're going to spin. And wow, that's a fantastic move by Sean there, up the inside of turn 3. And good reactions by Mthorn as well to avoid him. And we also saw in that picture as well, Novo getting past Big Shot, as Dan mentioned earlier on in the race. This is on board with Aresi. I think we're catching up with the action that we missed during this safety car period, which is obviously great to see as well. GR Demon defending against Sean down the outside, and Kian, I think, has gotten up the inside of the pair of them. That's a great move by Kian, and Aresi really without anywhere to go, unfortunately, just being run off the track there. And he loses out quite a lot. RBOS is on his inside now as well. So does he keep that position? Yes, he does keep that position and defends into turn 10 just to be sure. And now on board with Mthorn on lap 13. Is this where he gets past Big Shot? No, he doesn't. A Big Shot going around the outside of the Force India. Has a look up the inside of turn 8. And this is where he commits to going down the inside of Dan. And oh, this is Dan that he went around the outside of. Okay, that's reminding me now. So, yeah, Mthorn with a fantastic pass around the outside of Dan. And props to Dan as well for not running into the side of him as well. A fantastic racing from the pair of them. And an awesome move by Mthorn. I really do have to say that, because you don't really... it's hard enough to go through that sequence of corners by yourself. So going through there side by side with another car is just spectacular.
Yeah, it has to be said. We've seen some great overtaking so far in this race. You've clearly seen why these guys are the top of PS4 F1 2016 racing. But nevertheless, we've got Kian out in front in his Renault. And I wonder, has he done this for Nervo? It's only just dawned on me that this is a slight possibility. Obviously, he can't let Aresi go, but if Nervo's able to get past Aresi, and then Kian can hold up everyone, this gives Nervo an opportunity to set some absolutely blistering times on his ultra softs, which could be give him the gap to make another pit stop if need be. But nevertheless, so we're just looking down the order. Thorns in 4th, still got a reasonable opportunity to do well in this race, but is on a set of soft tyres. Big Shot, I think, is looking good in P5, a fresh set of super softs. Big C in 6. Wonder what tyre he'll have gone on to. He'll have surely had to either go into the soft or ultra soft, because he won't have run either of those compounds so far this race. Super Scrubber in P7. I don't know how he's managed to do that one, but he's looking very good. Alex in P8. He's managed to slightly recover his races. RBS 9th and NBA Rubin rounding out the top 10. But I think we'll have one more lap of safety car, and then we'll have, what that is, that 11 laps to the end of this race. And this could get very tasty.
Yeah, I think the two Ferraris of Big Shot and Aresi have been very intelligent here in going onto the softs at that first safety car, because it's opened up their race for the last couple or like this second half of the race. By going onto that softs, they allowed themselves the possibility to get to the end if there was another safety car, as there is now, or they could have pit under a safety car and gone onto a better race compound, which is what Big Shot's done. So it's very good call by the Ferrari boys, I think, and unlike in real life, which is hopefully something that will be changed for the 2017 season. But now back with AOR. So yeah, it's a fantastic point you make there. Kian could be used as a rear gunner as soon as Nervo gets up to speed on those ultra soft tyres. There's a 2 compound difference to the car in front of him, which is a lot. He's got a lot more grip available, not to mention they're also much fresher than that of what Aresi's got at the moment. As the safety car lights have gone out, then Kian becomes the safety car effectively, and it dictates the pace, and he is backing off an awful lot, getting ready for this safety car restart, getting a big gap for that safety car to allow it to come into the pits, and then he can get going whenever he feels is the right time for him. And as these guys are still only making their way up to the back of the pack, and these guys need to be careful they don't run into each other whilst they're going so slowly. Obviously, these guys have to be aware of what's going on. It's up to Kian how fast or slow he wants to go. And the other guys have really got to put up with it and make sure they don't run into the back. You can see Kian's really backing them up now and trying to get himself a good restart so that Aresi doesn't get past him. And we know Aresi's pace has been superb, very much so throughout this season. And now Kian has let that go and is now well on the way to his first lap, first proper racing lap, leading this race. It's across the line we go. Kian leads, Aresi second, Novo is third, Thorn in fourth place, Big C in fifth, and sorry, Big Shot in fifth and Big C in sixth place. And Novo right up behind the Ferrari of Aresi then, and doesn't go for a move up the inside of turn 5 just yet, but he's going to have a lot more traction on the exit of this corner. Will he be hurt by the fact that he is getting slipstream? Aresi's getting slipstream off the back of his teammate. Yes, he is. Aresi's trying to go around the outside of Kian at the moment, and doesn't quite make it work this time. Will never be able to take opportunity from that, and no, Aresi covers it off into turn 8, and well, it's been a calm before the storm at the moment. Nowhere near as much action as there was on the first safety car restart. So we can stay pretty calm for now. Novo right up behind Aresi into turn 10. And I can't quite make a move just yet.
Yeah, but Alec has managed to work his way past Super Scrub, already up into P7, and his recovery drive continues as we're on board with Aresi once again as we go through that hairpin, and he must be struggling for grip massively compared to Nerva Tank right behind. He's on a fresh set of Ultra Softs and he's probably very eager to find a way past. He goes up the inside, and Aresi just about leaves enough, well, Nerva leaves just about enough room for Aresi, sorry, but that is the Renault driver up into P2, and now I wonder if the team game is going to come into effect as we're on board with M1 in P4 on that soft compound tyre, but will surely have more grip than Aresi, because Aresi's tyres have done about 7 or 8 laps more than the Hash drivers, so it's going to see how that one plays out as Big Shot behind them as well on the super soft tyre. So if Nerva Tank isn't able to get, as Nerva Tank is coming into the pits, what on earth has happened here? We've got the Renault driver coming into the pit lane, and surely he's not coming in for a pit stop. From what we can see, the Renault crew isn't out, so this is a drive-through. What on earth is this for?
He was very cautious on the first safety car Delta phase. I wonder if he's gone over the Delta time this time around, or whether he's just sped into the pits. But either way, if there's not another safety car this afternoon, that's cost him an awful lot of time, as Alex is now up to P6 in his recovery drive, as Dan has said, and now is right behind Big C. Dives up the inside into turn 7, gets it stopped, and Big C leaving just enough room there on the apex, and now he's not going to get around the outside of turn 8 because he's nowhere near far enough alongside, and Big C doing well to hold on to that position, as it's now looking good for Kian, well, in terms of track position, which is kind of what you want around this track, but he's on very old super softs, which will be surely shot to pieces by the end of this race. But still 10 laps to go at the end of this one. Aresi looking very close to the back of that Renault. Kian going slightly defensive then into this corner. Big Shot looking probably the best out of these guys, because he's on the best tyres in terms of compound and indeed tyre life, as they go through the apexes then at the chicane, now heading towards under the grandstand as they turn left and then right through this corner, and now up to the last chicane of the lap, the final left, right, and now into the final corners of turn 20 and 21, and Kian has got a lot of defending to do if he wants this win.
Yeah, this is going to be a mad last sort of 8 or so laps, as we've got M4 looking up the inside of Aresi to turn 1, the Ferrari driver able to defend that position. There is so much happening, it's really difficult to keep on top of, but I'm gonna just sort of pause the race for a second. Shane, who do you think at this point in the race is going to win?
I think Big Shot's in the best position because he's got the best.
Oh my god!
Oh! That's a massive crash. That's M-Thorn and Big Shot So, scrap what I've just said. Big Shot is not going to win this race if there is nothing else that happens. Alex has somehow got an illegal overtake on him. So, I don't know how that's worked considering Big Shot was spinning around in the tyre wall. But, yeah, Big Shot then definitely not going to win this race. So, I would say that Aresi is probably looking the best to win this race. But don't count out Alex as he is on the Ultra Softs. But you've got to imagine they'll drop off at the end of the race. So, that is... M-Thorn out of the race then. Sadly, he took Big Shot with him. So the guy who started, the two guys who were on the front row collected each other on the exit of turn 6, on the exit of turn 5, sorry. And now Aresi all over the gearbox of that Renault and Kian. And Kian really has to defend like his life depends on it for these last couple of laps. 10 laps to go at the end of this one. Sorry, including this one. And now... I tell you what, Big C is actually closing up on these guys as well, and he's pulling Alex along with him. So it might sound weird, but Big C is very much on course for a podium and probably the win if he gets super lucky.
Yeah, and after all this, Alex has managed to work his way up into P4. His championship rivals outside the points. For all we know, this could turn into a great day for the Red Bull driver. It definitely did not like that at the start of the first safety car as we come round the final corners. You can see all the top 8 in one camera shot. That's absolutely brilliant as Kian still leads the way. He's doing a fantastic job. But surely at some point, Aresi is going to have the pace. But Alex in behind, if he's able to take those ultra softs to the end of the race, he's also looking in a fantastic position. I think any of the top 8 could still win this race. It's been, you really just can't keep up with this Grand Prix. Oh my God, Big C went incredibly defensive on Alex there. That's insane. But the Red Bull driver up into P3 and is now surely the favourite to win this race.
There was a Mercedes going going walkabouts in the exit of turn 7. I think that was Sean. I don't quite know what happened there with him, but he's worked his way up and back into well, he's now down to 8, but he's still in the points even after that mishap with Big C earlier on in the race and pitting really, even though he didn't want to. So Alex then. On the Ultra Softs, he's got to make the moves on these guys quickly if he wants to be ahead by the time his tyres start to drop off. And we kind of needed to see more feisty moves from Alex. And that was definitely a fantastic move, being very much squeezed to the inside of turn 7 by Big C. And Big C doing a very good job indeed this race to be in 4th place at the moment. He's had safety cars to help him, no doubt, but at the end of the day, he's been the best of those guys to not get caught up in any incidents and is doing a great job for Williams at the moment. Meanwhile, Aresi is glued to the back of that Renault. Hopefully, he doesn't get too close to the Renault, otherwise, they'll be both... well, Aresi will be caught up in that gearbox and in the wall as there's action going on in the background as well. I think Sean having to defend or passing someone in the background. I have no idea who it is. I'm too busy trying to keep up with what's going on up at the front then. Aresi right up behind Kian. And I think he's closer than he's ever been. Kian's going to have to go defensive, surely, into turn 7 as I go through the kink of turn 6. Alex right up behind trying to watch this and trying to calculate what's going on. Aresi going around the outside of turn 7. And they're tagged. Kian's in the wall. And Aresi's spun as well. Kian's out of the race. So that could possibly mean Renault might not get any points if there's a safety car. For this, Nova still stands up within a chance of trying to get this, but that's put Aresi back down into 10th place, and that's I think Nova up right behind them. And no, Alex, sorry, I'm just trying to comprehend what's happened here. Alex is now leading this race.
The two leaders have taken, well, whatever, you'll have to see a replay hopefully at some point. But they've taken each other out effectively. Kian's in the wall, he'll have no points. Aresi, I think, must have got some sort of damage from that incident. But the net result is that Alex, who was P14 at the first restart, has taken the lead of this Grand Prix. Absolutely insane. Big C is in P2 at the moment, but he's been absolutely hounded by the cars behind. I think that's Super Scrub, NBA Rubin, that's Sean as well, and all these guys I think are either on Super Softs or Ultra Softs, so they'll probably have a lot more grip. There's RBS in just behind, I think in P6 he's on the soft, but yeah, these guys will have a lot more grit, so we've definitely still got a battle to the end of this race. But Alex out in front has got a comfortable margin, and surely now, if he doesn't make any more mistakes, we'll take the full 25 points here.
Well, he's on his own, so he doesn't have to worry about any cars trying to get up behind him and trying to overtake him. So his biggest enemy at this point in the race is himself. So he's got to keep a calm head and just romp away at the front and use those super softs while they're good and they last. As Super Scrub is now right up behind Big C and doesn't quite go for a move, and he has somehow managed to spin. I think it was closer on Super Scrub's screen than what he actually looked like in the spectator cam there. And now it's all kicking off behind as Clarkey is in 7th place, and we've not seen pretty much anything of his races. NBA Rubin is up in 6th as well, and Jonas in 9th as well. So the two Saubers might end up getting points here today, as that's the chaos has been ensuing so far this race. RBOS is in 5th, Sean is in 4th, and let's just not forget that at one point in this race, Alex was, it seemed like everything was going wrong for Alex. He had to pit on lap 5, the first of those who pitted, got front wing damage on that lap as well, had a front wing change in the pit stops, ended up stone dead last in 18th, was 14th after gaining some positions at the restart, and has been very, very lucky, you have to say, to be in the lead of this race. But he still has to keep it on the island for the last 6 laps of this race. As well, Sean, after being having to make unnecessary pit stop at around the halfway mark, is now looking at podium position here.
Yeah, it simply can't work out what's happened in this Grand Prix. But yeah, Alex, who drove spectacularly last time out in Monza, was able to take the medium tyres, I think around about 20 laps to claim victory. But today, everything has seemingly fallen in place ever since that first safety car went in. As Big C is looking also very good for a podium here in P2, has pulled away from Super Scrub, but Sean now has found a way past the Manor driver. Super Scrub once again driving a very good race, got obviously P2, and Monza arguably should have won that race, and is now in P4, looking also good to score some good points, but won't be able to finish on the podium, as Sean is now up into P3, obviously another reserve driver, RBOS in 5th. So, yeah, it's so much still to happen, though, probably, in these last 5 laps.
Yeah, we've not really seen much of RBOS, NBA Rubin, Clarkey, Theo and Jonas, but yet they're in positions 5 to 9 at the moment. So that's kind of the indication of all the carnage that's gone on up front. Thorn and Big Shot wiping each other out, which I assume is just Thorn clipping the wall on the exit of turn 5 and sadly taking Big Shot with him. And then Kian and Aresi also coming to blows, and Kian losing I think probably a wheel in that crash as well, and Aresi very fortunate he is actually still in the race. But Nervo is going to get 1 championship point the way it stands at the moment as they come through the last corner to start lap 27. This race seemingly has gone on forever at the moment, but finally we're at the last part of the race with just 5 laps remaining, and Sean once again a reserve driver doing a fantastic job in this league, and is looking good for a podium. Super Scrub is going to have to fend off RBOS if he wants to have a chance of getting that podium place back, and we know from earlier on in the season that RBOS isn't afraid to go for a dive bomb or two.
Yeah, and Aresi showing once again that he does have good pace in this race, but unfortunately just isn't able to use it after being involved in that incident with Kian. But yes, just all these drivers that have profited by simply not making mistakes. I mean, I said at the intro that a lot of mistakes would happen. I didn't see this many happening, though. Drivers taking each other out or just being involved in incidents, and just people being consistent and keeping it on the tarmac and being able to score what looks like good points. But obviously, there are still 4 or so laps to go in this race, and this is really where it starts hitting the drivers, because they can see the points that they could possibly score. Their nerves start ramping up, and obviously they're starting to feel mentally drained as well. So many laps around this track, so this is where mistakes could start creeping in for a few of them.
Yeah, I think we're about probably about 50 minutes into the race, so it's been a long time for these drivers, and 50 minutes is a long time to try and keep focused looking at your television screen. So these, as Dan has just said, it's more likely mistakes are going to happen in these last couple of laps. Alex needs to make sure he doesn't make any mistakes, otherwise you could be like Thorn, for instance, who one momentary lapse of concentration and you're in the wall minus a tyre or two. And Big C has got quite a job to do if he wants to finish second here today. Sean is getting quite close to the back of him now, and Super Scrub still trying to fend off RBOS. So Sean is looking very close to the back of that Williams now. Is he having a look up the inside? It's kind of difficult to see from this angle. Oh, Super Scrub, sorry, Sean has gone spinning round, and I think he kind of had a half-hearted move, which kind of resulted in Big C just turning in anyway. And well, once again, the bad luck has hit the Mercedes driver, and he's back down to P8. And that's NBA Rubin up into 5th place. He's doing a great job at the moment in that Sauber. And Bo Sauber's doing a good job at the moment to keep it out of the wall and keep it in the points at the moment. And Nervo still within a shout of some good points here this afternoon or this evening. And now coming through the, well, now skipping to Super Scrub, who's back up into the podium positions then. So still things kicking off then, even with 3.5 laps to go. And well, we must also, as a Super Scrub actually just cuts over that corner there. Very easy track, you have to say, to because it's just all tarmac. There's no real grass and gravel traps anywhere, so it's very easy to just go over the track limits and go off the track and pick up some warnings and penalties. So this race is still not over by a long way.
Yeah, definitely. And NBA Rubin driving a very solid race. Obviously had that great result back in Spain. I God, that feels like a long time ago. But yeah, obviously I think he benefited from a virtual safety car back all those rounds ago. But ever since then, he's not really had a fantastic season. But he's looking on course to score another solid set of points up in P5. But obviously, even once we cross the finish line, results could change, considering the amount of penalties drivers could have. But Big C looking good in P2. Super Scrub starting to catch up to the Williams driver once again with RBOS in P4. He's just kept it out of the barriers. He's not really had a very strong race from what I've seen, but he's just been able to keep up with drivers, not make mistakes, and is currently looking on course to score 12 World Championship points.
Yeah, it's a very good job that a lot of these guys have done to keep it out of the wall and within the track limits. And now down into turn 13, then the hairpin that leads onto this straight, and this has been a very topsy-turvy race. Big C started in 12th, is currently 2nd. NBA Rubin, who started in 13th, is currently in 5th. Super Scrub, who started stone dead last in 21st, is 3rd. So that's how his race has gone this afternoon. So he is doing a fantastic job. He really is showing himself to be a possible full-time driver if it ever comes to that. At the moment, because 2 races and he's had 2 podiums. It's a superb job he's doing at the moment.
Well, I don't think we're on to 10th fate. We've got 2 laps left of this Singapore Grand Prix, and as we've seen so far this race, anything can happen. Expect the unexpected, as we're heading to turn 1 to start lap 30, and 2nd to 4th have started to bunch up, and all of a sudden these podium places, you don't know who's going to get them.
Yeah, Theo as well, worth a mention, started down in 18th, is 7th, and Jonas in 10th place, who started in 19th. So purely from just driving around, these guys have ended up in points paying positions. So, you know, that's the name of the game. You just have to keep it on the island, and you will get there. And there is a saying, you know, to finish first you must finish. And Alex is looking great for that win at the moment. He's got an 8-second lead over these guys, and even if he does have 2 penalties, which I strongly doubt he does. He's been one of the few drivers who's not had penalties so far this season, and it's brought him a win in Baku, for example. So Alex doing a great job with great pace and a great job of keeping it on the track, as well as Super Scrub is getting very much in a good position to try and overtake Big C.
Yeah, so RBOS on that soft compound tyre, I wonder if that started to form a little bit better than the super soft that Super Scrub's on, and will be similar to what Big C has. But I suspect RBOS has got a bit more pace than the Williams driver, because as we saw in qualifying, was easily able to out-qualify the Williams driver, as we once again head through this final section of track. The drivers will be bored of seeing this track now, but they are going to go round the final sequence of corners for the penultimate time, and there is 1 lap left, and there is 2 podium positions and 3 drivers.
Well, here we go then. Last up, we go into turn 1. Super Scrub right on the back of Big C. Big C kind of going slightly defensive into turn 3. Super Scrub running wide on the exit. RBOS trying to have a look up the inside of turn 5. Is he going to be letting off on the brakes? Yes, he is. And that's a good move by RBOS. Super Scrub kind of goes wide on the exit. And that's RBOS up to P3 then. But will he keep it for the last 2 sectors of the lap? Big C's looking good for a 2nd place finish. On board now with Super Scrub, who's doing fine in terms of tyre wear at the moment. His rears don't look too healthy. He has got a bit of front wing damage on the front right hand side, but now, okay, RBS has run out of fuel apparently, so those positions could well change. Obviously, there is a slight delay on RBS running out of fuel. He might not actually be out of fuel just yet, so it'll be critical to see if RBS can save enough fuel to make it round the rest of the lap. And now watching the race leader then, who won the last race at last time out in Italy with a fantastic strategic call to stay out on the medium tyre and save his tyres very well to take the victory on the exit of the last corner. This time he has definitely been a lucky man, and well, at the end of the day, you can't make your own luck. He's been kept himself out of trouble and is going to take the win here in Singapore. It's back-to-back victories for the Red Bull driver, and he now reduces the lead down another 25 points. It depends where Nervo ends up in this race as well. I think last time he checked, he was in 9th place. So Novo Tony's going to score 2 points. NBA Rubin comes home in 6th place in the end. And now I think we're going to wait for the rest of the drivers to file through. Aresi, sadly, is going to miss out on a points paying position after having really superb race and a great strategy call to stay out on that safety car restart, just sliding it over the wall in the end. And finally, we have a replay then of Kian. I assume this is where the crash happened between him and Aresi down into turn 7 then. Let's see what happens. Aresi goes around the outside, and Kian gets tagged on his screen, and that's a front right tyre that has gone flying off of his car. This is what happened from Aresi's point of view then. Goes to the right hand side for the outside for this corner, and on his screen Kian comes across. So that's 2 different stories of what's happened there, which is sadly the nature of this game. And from that angle, it looks like Aresi just oversteered into him. But yeah, very different accidents there on each of their screens. That results in Alex taking the win then. Big C comes home in 2nd place. Clarkey gets a podium in 3rd, followed by Theo, and RBOS ends up in 5th place with some penalties on the end of his name. NBA Rubin comes home in 6th place, followed by Super Scrub, who ended up in 7th, sadly for him, and Sean ended up in 8th place. Still points for him, so he can be proud of that. Jonas in at 9th place, and Aresi does end up getting a point then in 10th place. Nervo, with 9 seconds worth of penalties, fails to score a point. So that is very significant for the championship. Demon missing out on points once again in 12th place. Big Shot, the first of a long list of DNFers. Then it's Kian in 14th, Thorn in 15th, Jake in 16th, Nummer in 17th, and Dan, who disconnected early on, well, pretty midway through the race. BMU, then another retiree, and Ali and Mayhem, who disconnected on the formation lap and the grid. Sadly, could not join back in time to participate in the race. And this is now the Drivers' Championship. So in the last 2 races, Alex has closed 50 points down to Nervo and is now only 8 points behind. M-Thorn still in 3rd place. Aresi just getting that 1 point, so maintaining that 4th. Kian in 5th place, followed by Ali K and Big Shot. Those two not scoring any points, so they stay exactly where they are. RBOS maintaining 8th place with his good result today. Clarkey moving up into the top 10, as does Theo, and Dan sadly dropping out of the top 10. Just in play loses out to Big C, who moves up ahead of him thanks to that 2nd place. Jonas and NBA Rubin now 14th and 15th as GR Demon drops to 16th. Mayhem Madness still in 17th, then it's Beacolt, BMU, Nummer and Jake rounding out the point scorers.
So Renault still had the lead in the Constructors' Championship, but the big movers today were Red Bull, who were able to leapfrog Ferrari and Haas, who both moved down a position. McLaren stayed 5th with Force India 6th, Manor now not too far behind the Force India team, with Mercedes 8th and Williams now both tied on points. Sauber are 10th, with Toro Rosso still down in 11th.
Alright, so it's time for the interviews, and today we have got with us the victor of the Singapore Grand Prix. Alex, another win for you, your 5th of the season. Where does this one rank for you, considering you were 18th at one point in the race?
Yeah, I mean, every win is special, obviously. I think Australia was the most tense one because in season 11 I was so often on a podium without winning in the race, and then crossing the line was, I think, the best feeling. But Singapore was very close with Monza. I think maybe the only win that wasn't so special was in Baku, where I inherited it. But every win is special, and this one maybe even more.
In the last 2 races, you've cut Noah Tank's lead from 58 points now just down to 8. Having this momentum behind you going into the final 6 rounds has to be important for you.
Yeah, I mean, not really, to be honest, because every time I closed up on him, it went even worse. So we will see. Momentum is just something people believe in. I don't really believe it, really. It's just either you're good or not good. And with this game, there is no momentum. With lag, safety car, tire wear, there are so many variables. It's not predictable what can happen. I just look from race to race, try to maximize my points, and we will see where this will actually bring me.
All right, I like that answer. That's a good answer. You pulled a Red Bull along by yourself almost all season and now sit 2nd in the Constructors. Is there any attention paid to that, or are you strictly focused on the title fight with Nervo at the moment?
I mean, to be honest, I don't really care about the Constructors. I mean, 2nd or 5th or 10th is really the same. It's about the win. And I am taking the neoclassical economical approach in this, that the Constructors is the best effort of 2 individuals maximizing their races. And for me, maximizing my races means to be focused on a championship battle. So my focus is just to push every race, and if I am lucky enough, maybe the right outcome will arrive.
All right, that's a very good interview there from Alex. Now it's over to Big C, who managed to score his first podium in AOR at one of the most demanding circuits on the calendar, and a crazy race with 2 safety cars. How does it feel to finally get that first podium on the board?
Yeah, it's completely unexpected. Obviously, when starting my AOR career, I didn't really expect to finish on the podium, considering like the quality of drivers. But like tracks like Monaco and Singapore, there's always going to be opportunities. And it seemed a lot of the big guys, like the fast guys, had a lot of issues, a lot of contact. I just kept it clean, made sure I didn't like collide with anyone, and yeah, just got it home to the end. And yeah, to finish 2nd around Singapore, the longest race of the season, really good for me.
Your podium now means that all 10 teams have scored at least 1 podium this season, which is a pretty amazing stat. What does that say about the depth of this league, in your opinion?
Yeah, obviously, it speaks for itself. This is the 20 or 22 best drivers on the PS4. So I think, yeah, it's great for the league. I've never been in a league so competitive. Every race is different. Some races you can be fighting for the best positions in other races, you're outside the points. Every mistake is punished. So And if you put together a good race, you get rewarded. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and yeah, I look forward to the remaining races.
Williams have moved into a tie with Mercedes for 8th in the Constructors, but Sauber aren't that far behind either. Is this battle the most important to you, given your place in the drivers' standings at this point in the season?
Yeah, I mean, I want to finish as high as possible. Obviously, if there's a following season on this game, car preference is decided on your driver championship position. So I want to finish as high as possible in case there's another season. But obviously, for bragging rights, I want to finish high in the Constructors. Obviously, my teammates, incapable of scoring points at all, really. So it's just down to me to score the points, and I'll try and do my best to make sure we, catch up to Manor and force India ahead. Because you never know what will happen in the next few races.
Alright, so that's some very good comments and arguably controversial comments that have been made here this afternoon or evening or morning, wherever you've been watching this from. But thank you guys for watching this video. We'll see you next time out in Malaysia. We'll see you there. Have a good day and goodbye.